How you doing? It's Martin Lopez from the Real Estate Show, the Real Estate dot show. So that rather than .com, it's Real Estate dot show. And every Thursday, we're going to talk real estate. I've been in real estate business since 1985. Can you believe it? I got my license on July 5th, 1985. Wow, it's been a while, huh? And sold real estate for about 13 years and then changed over to be a loan officer. So currently I'm a loan officer. I specialize in VA loans. Just want to let you know we have a VA loan that we can go to 1.5 million, also one to 2.5 million with zero down. Zero down. You can buy a $2.5 million house and put zero down if you're VA. Is that pretty amazing? Interest rates are still ridiculous. So one of the things that I run into, like every single day in this business, because we're always talking about taxes and insurance and principal and interest, which is your house payment, your down payment, all those kinds of things. But I have clients every single day that are asking me about insurance. Like, who should I talk to? Do I have a referral for them? And I have an amazing guy that I refer a lot of my clients to. His name is David Petri. He's going to jump on in a second. But the thing is that I just realized about my own self, like myself, just a couple minutes ago. I was thinking of my own house. What's my coverage? Do I even know what my own coverage is on my house? Like if something happens to my house, like a flood or, like the neighbor next to my house, they have a swimming pool. So if that wall collapses and all their water goes into my house and, am I covered, right? Am I covered? My neighbors have huge palm trees. What happens with that, right? A while ago, the neighbors had like all these big dogs and stuff. So, what happens? And I got these little puppies. What if my little puppies, they can't bite anybody, but what if they went and bit somebody, So there's all kinds of different things that can happen. So I would imagine you probably need coverage to cover all those things. You need different kinds of insurance coverage. And I think that there's like cash value, replacement costs, extended cost value and all this. I mean, we have all kinds of like little things that we need for our clients in order to get them a loan. But honestly, I don't know anything about insurance. I really don't know anything about insurance. So what I like to do is have a conversation and learn like insurance, 1.0 right now. So let's do that. Let's take a few minutes. Let's have a conversation with David and let's, do, insurance 1.0. So, hey buddy, what's up? How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy. I'm really, but I thought we were going to talk about my favorite subject. I was misled. So I thought we were talking about the best California burrito in San Diego. So I went and buy Tapatios in Alpine this morning, and then insurance. Well, okay. Forget the burrito.
I can talk about burritos. I mean,
what I got you? Look, I got you one. I got me one. I thought we were going burrito on this, but
man.
Okay, so who insures my burrito? That's a common question.
Let's start with that, right?
If somebody breaks into my house and steals my Tapatios California burrito, who's going to cover it? Right?
That's right. Who's going to take care of me if someone takes my burrito?
Yeah. It depends on the value of your burrito as to whether you should have scheduled it or not, or just covered it in personal property. But
well, David, I was saying a second ago, there's so many different types of, there's so many different questions I have. I'm like tongue tied, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what I have on my insurance. It's like we go to the insurance, insurance guy and they says, yeah, this is your insurance. And like, I go, okay, cool. And the thing is when people do loans, they kind of do the same thing. They just trust you. They just trust you that you're looking out for them. And probably I'd say, 80% of my clients just say, is this a good rate? Is that what I'm supposed to do? And then just run with it, and maybe 20% ask questions. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah. You know what? There's actually studies been done that show that, not to go into gender, but they've shown that ladies will want to know how well their home is protected. So auto insurance has become a commodity. Like, I just want to pay the least I have to pay. And, I'm sure everything will get taken care of. When it comes to insuring a home, a lady will stay on the phone, manage 14 different multitask, and make sure that the coverage is correct for their needs. And so it used to be that in the 60s, if you bought a home for $30,000 and you insured it for $30,000 and then you never met with your insurance agent, it would always be covered for $30,000.
Yeah.
And then, and then they started having massive wildfires and people's homes would burn down. And then they'd go to the Department of Insurance and say, hey, my insurance company didn't pay me enough to rebuild the home.
Yeah.
And the Department of Insurance said, you know what, that's a good point. What they've done now is all insurance carriers on a property insurance policy, they have what's called a replacement cost estimator. And so what it will do is it will take into consideration the size of the home, some of the qualities of the home. And so it will assign a base price that must be applied to the policy. And then every year that replacement cost estimator reruns so that you will have coverage added every two or 3 years to keep up with the cost of inflation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know one of the things that we ask you is we used to, I think it's automatic now, like you're saying, we used to say, hey, we need that replacement cost estimator thing, right? We need to know what the replacement cost is if you're covering it, because I know it used to be that you'd get an insurance policy and it didn't seem like it was going to cover the house. You're like, well, that number's too low. You're like, well, no, it's what you need. This is what it is. You would tell us.
Yes. So that is a common thing that we run into is people will say, hey, I just paid, $1 million for this house and you're insuring it for $700,000. That doesn't make sense. And so we tell them, well, you have to remember that you purchased the real estate as well. And land in California is very valuable. So God forbid your house burns down, that real estate is still going to be there. So what we have to do is we have to ensure the structure of your home, the interior of your home, the belongings of your home, and it will be enough. But if you do, so let's say that you gutted and remodeled your kitchen. Should you tell your insurance company? No, they're going to charge me more money. Well, the purpose of insurance is to replace with like, kind, and quality. So if you had birch cabinets with granite countertops, but originally you had Formica, the purpose is to replace it with the granite that you had. So there is a cushion put on homeowners insurance policies. We can talk about that in a little bit to cover that, but it is a good idea to keep your insurance company aware of improvements to your home.
That's good. Well, that's a really, I I'm thinking about myself, how I would be, like I just remodeled the kitchen. I don't want to tell anybody because it's going to cost more money. Yeah. Like, duh, like you just put granite in and you just put like the high end flooring in and you just put like everything in upgrade. It's like, what do you want? So you can really be shooting yourself in the foot. Does it really make a big difference in the cost when you're making those little minor adjustments?
It doesn't. And in many cases, it doesn't even increase the cost. It's always good to have your insurance company know what you had before it's gone. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes people will call and they'll say, hey, somebody broke in and stole all 5 of our flat screen TVs. Well, I mean, I shouldn't use that as an example, maybe, because we would know you'd have TV. Let's say they stole all 20 of my diamond rings. Well, we didn't know you had 20 diamond rings. It would have been nice to, known that beforehand, because then if at some point you told your insurance agent, hey, you know what, I have some jewelry and I'd like you to just put a note that I have, maybe more than your average person in jewelry. Well, then when there's a loss, we can say, oh yeah, 3 years ago, you told us about the jewelry. So that's helpful.
Oh, that's really good. Okay, cool. So well, you said, the ladies ask more questions. So
yeah,
what are the questions that all the ladies ask?
Well, so they'll want to understand the coverages. So let's just say here, real quick. I did a mock-up of the Casa Lopez, Martin Lopez.
Between bites of the burrito?
Yeah, that was before the burrito hit the. So what we do is we explain to them, we say, you know what? The first concern that everybody has is, hey, if my house burns down, how much am I going to get?
Yeah, and so that's the first question. How much am I going to get? Yeah.
And to be honest with you, very, very seldom do we have houses burned down. We do, and especially when there's wildfires, but very seldom. But every single week we have water losses. A pipe breaks, a toilet overflows, a supply line. And so water is the primary cause of loss in homeowners insurance. Anyhow, so let's say Martin Lopez he says, hey, how am I covered? And I say, well, Martin, on your dwelling coverage here, you have a base coverage of $900,000. And you say, okay, well, that's interesting. And then you say, well, what's this 450? Well, there's an interesting thing that homeowners insurance carriers will do is you'll get this coverage called extended limits. So the insurance companies are smart enough to know that their customers probably aren't going to notify them every time they make an improvement to their home. So there's a little buffer, a little cushion that's automatically. With the carrier that we write with, there's 150% extended limits. So you'd have an additional, I'm not good at holding, you would have it.
That's good. It actually looks good. I put you on full screen so I can see it really well.
You would actually have a $450,000 additional coverage for that. It's called extended limits. It used to be that there was a policy called guaranteed replacement cost, and you could insure your home for $30,000 in the 60s, and then in the 20s, 2020, your house burns down, it's worth $800,000. They had to cover $800,000. Okay. Insurance carriers kind of said, yeah, we can't really do that anymore. So now what they do is they have basic coverage or dwelling coverage plus extended limits. So then the second coverage is called personal property. So that's all your stuff. Your stuff is covered when it's inside of your home, when it's riding in your car, when it's in storage, when it's at a friend's house, wherever your stuff is in the world, it's covered by your homeowner's insurance. And this is the area
like my guitars, my sax. Okay.
Yeah. And there are some classifications of personal property that have limits of coverage. If you call and say someone stole like jewelry is number one, guns, artwork, things like that. So if you have something of specific value, let's say you have an original Picasso and somebody steals it, you would want that to have been scheduled. So when you schedule
I got an original Francisco is what I got, but nobody knows him.
You know what? But when he dies, everybody's going to want that artwork.
I'm hoping.
I shouldn't even wish
$80 for it.
Yeah. Well, it's the one thing, you always feel bad when somebody has a loss and then they start to learn about it. So you try to tell them, look, I don't want to push any insurance on you because I wouldn't want insurance pushed on me, but I just want to tell you how it works so that we can make it work the best for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So then the third coverage is liability. So let's say Martine and I go golfing, and I don't golf, believe me. But let's say I decide to golf with Martine, and I take a ferocious swing, and I whack Martine in the eyeball with my golf club. Uh-oh, Martine's going to have some medical. So I'm not at home, but my family liability on my homeowner's insurance will address that. It was an unintentional act. I mean, if I chased Martine around the golf course and whacked him, that's an intentional act. That's a little different. So family liability covers you not just on your property. I mean, typically think, well, if somebody falls in a ditch that I'm, digging on my property, that's true too. But and liability also with most carriers includes animal liability. Some carriers do exclude animal liability, and often people will call and say, "Hey, can I get a quote for insurance? By the way, I have a pit bull." That used to be an issue, but it's no longer an issue. You can, no matter what breed of dog, you can get.
Really?
Yeah,
it was recently an issue, wasn't it?
It's just until very recently did it not become now.
So I think we had a client that she had, and that was because she had pit bulls. One of our clients. Yeah. Okay.
It does. Yeah. This is almost brand new. Yeah. And then the last one is loss of use. So something happens to your home, you got to move out while it's being fixed. So your insurance policy will pay for your rent if you go to a hotel, or if you're going to be out for 6 to 8 months, you might rent a condo. And it'll pay for your food because they know you can't cook while you're displaced. So those are the basic, those are the basic coverages. There are a lot of other coverages too. One coverage that is included on homeowners insurance is called temporary workers' comp. So years ago, we had a little lady who had hired somebody to work in her yard, and he was using her electric hedge trimmers, and he trimmed his arm, and he needed the surgery.
Ooh.
So here he is. He just came in to work in our yard. He didn't have any insurance. So we paid her insurance carrier paid for his medical bills. So that's just called, if you have a full-time in-servant who works for you, like the Martin Lopez Casa, then, you'd have to get workers' comp. But if somebody's just coming in, let's say,
please.
Let's say somebody's coming in, once a week.
California burrito.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then a lot of, there are different, so there are basically 4 types of property insurance. There's renters, condo, homeowners, and landlords packages.
Okay, so, renters, condos, homeowners, and landlords. This is great.
Yeah, and so like your renter's policy, the number one thing that it covers is your stuff, your personal property. If you call your insurance carrier and say, somebody broke into my car and stole my laptop, well, when they hear laptop, they start looking for a property insurance policy because your laptop is not covered by your auto insurance. And so that's, renter's insurance covers your stuff, liability, loss of use. We're on this side, actually. I actually have a gentleman right now that the HOA is covering for the pipe to be fixed and his home to be rebuilt on a renter's policy, but he had to move out. He had to move out. And so we're covering the loss of use.
Wow.
So then you have a condominium policy, which covers the interior of the home, your stuff, liability, and loss of use. Then you have homeowners, which covers the entire structure of the home, and your stuff, your liability, loss of use, and it has the temporary workers' comp. And then a landlord's package, it covers the whole package. It covers a little bit of stuff. So typically people don't rent out a home fully furnished. And so they might want to just cover just the refrigerator, the range, things like that. So they don't need to insure it for all the personal property. And then liability, and you want extra liability when you have a tenant, because they may think that you're a landlord and you're wealthy. And if they scratch their finger on a open receptacle or something, that you owe money. And then instead of loss of use for not being able to live in the house, it has loss of rents, which means that if there is a loss, that insurance policy will continue to pay the landlord the rents that they could not get while the tenant's out.
How is that? Has that been something that people have taken advantage of, landlords, because of, the loss of rents that you had over this last 18, 19 months with COVID?
No, you have to have an actual covered peril first. So if the loss is due to a water loss or a tree fell through the roof or something like that, then it's associated.
Thanks for clarifying that. That's really interesting. This is really, really great. And so, is there a big difference between like all the different insurance companies, or are they kind of all the same? What?
There's not a big difference. Typically, if there's a difference in pricing, it's because of coverage. One thing that is going on right now in the insurance industry is a lot of non-renewals in fire risk areas.
Yeah.
We're being contacted daily with people who are saying, hey, you know what, I'm being non-renewed by my carrier because I live in, and the area that they live in is typically a higher brush area. It's a suburb, and so, even right now there's fires in Northern California.
Yeah.
And so insurance carriers have become very concerned about insuring in brush areas. There's a movement. What's happening is there's a movement for insurance carriers in California to be able to charge a little higher rate in a brush area. But right now in California, they can't do that. And so I think it's kind of a collective action to try and say, hey, you know what, until we can charge a fair rate in a fire prone area, we're going to non-renew it. So then when a customer gets non-renewed, then they go from a standard homeowners insurance policy to a high risk. And so a customer may have been paying $1,200 a year for a nice homeowners insurance policy. Now they start getting quotes for a high risk, and it's $3,800, $5,000. I wrote one a couple of weeks ago that was $17,000 a year for the insurance. It just broke my.
Yeah, we had a customer that we were looking at out. I don't know if you remember, that was recently, and it was really expensive. It was way out in East County. And the quote was just like, wow, that's like, I remember when you sent the quote over, I was like,
yeah,
like really?
Yeah. He doesn't want to buy the house. We want to insure the house.
Yeah. Wow. And so there's the California Fair Plan that people use, right? That helps out.
Yeah. The California Fair Plan is just inundated right now with policies. And so they have begun to tighten their own requirements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they will tell you on all their paperwork, they are the last resort. Their paperwork, when you get the policy, will say shop for other insurance, because they're a tough policy, but they handle fire. And so when you get a California Fair Plan policy, you have to get a companion policy that goes with it.
Yeah.
California Fair Plan doesn't cover water loss. And so you have to get what's called a difference in conditions policy to partner with your California Fair Plan policy.
But if you're out, and let's say, you're on an area, there's brush fires, and wouldn't the additional policy then take that into consideration, that this is an area that's prone to fires. So the chances of us having to pay a policy would be higher versus if you're by the beach.
Yes.
Does that affect the
price? Yes. So the difference in conditions policy do not cover fire. Okay. So they're not concerned as much about where the fire risk, because they don't cover that. They just cover water, theft, liability, things like that. And then the California Fair Plan policy covers fire.
Okay. So let me get real clear on that then. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
So,
please.
because I think it's really important. So so if a policy, let's say from Allstate, you had the California Fair Plan and you had your policy and the house burned down, the California Fair Plan covers the contents and all those things.
Then yes, because they burned. Yes.
Because it burned. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Mhm.
So then you're getting a policy from, let's say, Allstate from David Petri, and someone's going to go, well, why do I need a policy? Because I'm just worried about fire. Well, the thing is you're telling me is that most of the claims are because of water. You really
Yes.
do need the policy from Allstate. You really need the policy from David Petri.
Yeah, you typically definitely, if you have a mortgage, they're going to require both policies to begin with because they want to make sure that mortgage carriers are extending a lot of money to a person. And so their concern is, hey, if something happens and you're not able to pay us, we'd like you to have insurance because we want to make sure we get paid.
Yeah.
And so they're going to require you to carry both policies. And like the California Fair Plan does not cover liability. So again, if Martine and I are golfing, you want the liability regardless of whether it has to do just with your home policy. And then the water, of course, the water water losses all the time.
Yeah.
We're not a drought, but there's water losses.
That's, I know. I've spoken to people that had it, that we have actually a friend that a good friend of ours that I'm doing a refinance for her, and the whole problem that started in her house was a matter of a water loss, and then and she's not with you. She's having problems. She's thinking about suing the insurance company because they're just so slow and they're just dragging their feet, and it's like they're not responsive, And one of the things I know about you and everybody that I've ever sent over to you, and I've sent, dozens and dozens of people over to you, I think, that they've always been happy. They've always said that you call them back, you get to them, you answer their questions. And I know that as a fact. And I've heard also other people that know you, I said, in different situations, you've gone out there, you just answer the phone, and you've told me some stories about how, you help people. You have this thing for, I know we're talking about home insurance, but you have something for kids with auto insurance. What's that?
Yeah, teen driving program.
Yeah, what's that?
So,
Should I share with that really quick?
So a customer calls to add a teen driver. We say, well, is there any? This was before COVID, and now it's coming back that we can do it. We say, would you be able to bring your teen in and have a little program, and we're going to reward them, And so then what we do is I go over some things that are common amongst teen drivers when they have a little mishap, and so I go over things on how to avoid it. And I have them I pay for an online program. It's a driver safety program. They do it at home on their own time. And it provides them an additional discount on their parents' insurance, a significant discount. But the main thing I do is I say, look, my name is David. I don't want to be a name on a piece of paper. Here's my mobile cell phone. I don't care if it's nighttime, weekend, anytime. You call me if something's gone wrong. And believe me, I've been called on Thanksgiving having dinner. I have, but it's just, to me, and it's not like, I want to do anything to market. It's not a marketing tool. It's just, I honestly care.
Yeah.
I have kids. And so I honestly care that it's unfortunate, there are big insurance companies and it's wonderful that they've done that. But what has happened is corporate business has created a buffer between the customer and the person who can get help. You have a 1-800 number, you call and you talk to somebody, and then you have to be talked to somebody else. So I don't want my teen drivers, maybe they're broken down by the roadside and they're like, hey, David, how do I get towed? Or, I don't want them to
I
have
called
to
you
call
for
me.
that one time. I got in a car accident and I was like, I backed into a tree. I had a brand new car. I had my brand new car. I was like,
you did not back into the tree. The tree attacked you, remember?
The tree came after me.
I did this. Jumped out of the ground.
It just jumped. It just grew so fast. But what's nice is that you can call somebody, and I've been the person to call you like on Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, because when I have a client, I'm just like you. When I have somebody and they're calling me and they need a question answered, I'm like, I'm going to go find the answer for you. Call me. I'll go get the answer for you.
Whoever gets to use Martine is overly blessed. I'm telling you. So we deal with obviously every time a homeowner's insurance customer refis their mortgage, guess what? We're going to get a call from somebody in another country that's very hard to understand by their accent. And they're going to say, the first thing they're going to say is, I'm calling you on a recorded line and I need to ask you about such and such and such and such. You know, Martine, I'm kidding you not. If Martine says, hey, I need to get a homeowner's quote by this evening, and I'm working really hard all day and I'm really tired and I just want to go home. When I go to my car, I just see Martine gracefully leaning against the hood of my car. And he's like, I think you better go back in there and get that done. You know, I mean, if you use Martine, he's going to get you taken care of. But it's in such a, I mean, you're just so happy to see.
That's how we roll, though. But that's how we roll, right? That's our style. Because, and I don't know what it is for you. And I would say for me, you know, when I look at like where I come from, how I grew up, and I think it starts with like a not so good version of yourself, like not such a, like a great, maybe not so much self-esteem, you know. And I have I feel good about myself, but I think what happened is as I look back, as I go back and I you know, wrote a book called The Curiosity Theory. So as I curiously look back at you know, how I developed my you know, my professionalism, my skills and all that, it was always an honor for me. It was always an honor that somebody would say, will you help me? It's just always like, are you kidding? Like, it's like, man, you can ask a lot of people to help you. And you're asking me, it's like, man, I never take that lightly. And I know you don't either.
No. Yeah. It's like, I tell my staff, they're like, why did you do the evidence of insurance? Why aren't you handling the big stuff? And I say, you know, like a carpenter, he goes to work and at the end of the day, you can see what he built. I said, if all I do all day is take care of customer service issues, it's not, when I do a change of mortgage to iServe lending for Martine and send it over to him, I can see what I did. And the same thing happens. You and I are brothers in that kindred spirit that at the end of the day, when we have exceeded someone's service expectation, it's like we painted a masterpiece and we go home and there's just that feeling like, you know what? I helped somebody today and they liked it and that's it.
It's like, and that's a privilege. It is a privilege. Yeah. It's a privilege to help people. It's a privilege to do things. And I was talking to an attorney earlier today, and he was talking about how he's been an attorney he's buying a house in La Jolla, and he's talking about how he is been one kind of attorney for years and years and years and years and years. He's like, I think I'm going to become a different attorney. And I said, how come? And he's like, because I think what I want to do is I want to do something that's funner. And I go, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I'm kind of like bored of this. And so we started talking about curiosity. And he's like, by the time we were done, he's like, man, you just rekindled my fire for what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to go do that. I'm going to take this business to the next level. And, you know, this is a conversation that started about, and he's a veteran, and you know, he wanted to sell his house to buy another house. And when he talked to me, it turns out he doesn't have to sell his house. He's going to be able to rent that house and buy another house because he hasn't used his VA. So he's going to buy, he's looking at about $1.6 million house. He's going to put $0 down. So he's like super excited. And he's going to make money he's going to make a lot of money renting his house out. Right. Man. So at the end of the conversation, which we got all his information and all that, and we'll send him to you for sure. And we got all that, assets and income, and pulled his credit and everything. We're ready to go. We started just talking about life. And to me, it's like, I can do a mortgage. I can do mortgages left and right. And so people ask me, Martine, how come you're not like one of those top loan officers? Because it's never been been something I wanted. I never felt, cared for that life. I want the life where I get to talk to people, where I get to help people, like doing like a video like this. So why am I doing this? Because my customers ask questions and I want them to see the guy that I send them to. This is David, this is the guy I'm going to send you to. And this is his philosophy and this is how he does business. And these are his coverages. Watch this 3 or 4 times. And if you need a California burrito, give the guy a call.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't want too many new customers over this because, then you have to scale up and it's going to be like, how many wives did Solomon? Solomon had like 900 wives. So, the first 3 in the line, they were like, oh, he's so attentive. He remembers our anniversary. And by the time he got to 700, the first 3 are like, he's the wisest man. He never remembers my anniversary. He doesn't.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
That's great. So where is the best California burrito? Seriously, where's your favorite California burrito?
There's a place in Alpine called Tapatio's, and it's got this little open patio, wooden patio, and you can just sit there. There's a lot of trees around, and I've never, eaten that many around different parts, but their California burrito is just loaded, and it's great. So, yeah. So,
well, I'm training for the Spartan race in.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
In October, so I'm not eating California burritos right now. But
yeah, I am so impressed with you. That is such. I mean, no, I'm serious. That's like going to war with your own body.
I pulled a hamstring a week and a half ago, and so then I went to the gym with my workout, and they adjusted my my workout. And it was like this really crazy workout, but the next morning I woke up, like my back's aching. It's crazy. And I work out 3 times a day for about 55 minutes, and it's just and I'm drenched in the first like 7 or 8 minutes. Like really, but I love it. I love it. And it's just really cool because I want to be able to fit into that shirt you bought me. You bought me a shirt as a gift. This thing is the coolest shirt, and I've been able to fit it twice, so like my weight went like, okay. Oh, I tried that on. It looks really cool. And then I was going to wear it to one of our tip meetings. Right. And then, oh man.
Yeah. I
ate a California burrito.
No, I apologize for that, Martin. The men's section, it was just too expensive, but I found it in the child's section.
Well, I'm gonna fit in that thing. I'm gonna fit in that thing by October.
You will. So, you definitely will. I know you will. Awesome. So,
well,
cool.
Brother,
This is fun.
tell people. Yeah, it is, and I really appreciate everything you had to say. Can you tell people how to get a hold of you? I'll put them in the show. I put your information in the notes. But how about just letting everybody know how to get a hold of you? Maybe. Yeah.
You know what? Just go on the computer and type insurance David Petri, like the Petri dish, Petri. You'll find me. And the nice thing is you can see what customers have said about us. So it's, I'm not just, I don't want to blow my own horn.
Okay, cool. So, and I'll just tell you, he's amazing. He's amazing. I do call him, and I know that I call him sometimes when I shouldn't be calling him. Like, oh my God, but I need this. It's like, David, I need this. He calls back and
sleep.
because in our business, just like David, when our clients need us, we're there for us, and we said that we would do that. We raised our hand and we said, if you pick me, I will do whatever I need to do, and that's what we do, right?
That's awesome. Yep, that's awesome.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for coming and hanging out, man.
Thank you.
How's everybody? How's the staff?
Good. We're all back together now. We had some out for a while with the COVID thing, but now we're all back.
So. Well, God bless you, and have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with me.
You too. Thanks so much, Martin.
Hang out in the back, right, real quick. Hey, so God, thank you for hanging out with us. I call this the realestate.show, and I haven't set up the URL, but it'll be set up in about 20 minutes. So, we're every Thursday at 11 a.m. We try to go for about 15, 20, 25 minutes. Some people you just have so much fun talking to that you just got to keep talking, and I just can't shut up sometimes. So thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be here every Thursday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, talking about real estate. Martin Lopez from iServe Residential Lending. I'm a VA loan specialist. I also do the other types of loans, but I love VA loans. So if you know anybody, any veterans or service members that need help with their loans, please send them my way. Thank you very much. God bless.